It is that time now once again, for getting lumped up with my friends. It's RockerMike and Rob that you should know, and you'll find them here on the Rock Show. Ooh, yeah, on the Rock Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is another RockerMike and Rob present the wonderful, the talented Mike Skill.
Yeah.
What's
Welcome
up,
aboard, Mike.
How you rockers doing out there?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great.
Are you on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, we're in New York. Yep.
Beautiful.
Out of the city.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I miss New York.
Okay, everybody. So we've got Mike Skill, founding member of the Romantics, the classic band, iconic band.
Yeah.
And Mike has played guitar in the band. He's played bass. He's one of the main songwriters.
Yep.
He's really one of the driving forces of the band. He keeps it going. They still play today.
Yep.
And let's get into it, Mike. Let's talk about how this all started for you. Now, you're from Detroit originally, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I got to ask you something.
Well,
what is it about Detroit guys? They rock so hard. Okay.
Well, I was born in Buffalo, New York, and we moved.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my mom's sister lived in Detroit, so we moved to Detroit later down the road in 1961.
Right.
Yeah. So what is it about Detroit? Well, like Wayne Kramer says, it's a working class town.
Right.
And a big, heavy union town when I was growing up.
Right.
Heavy union, and they were making automobiles 24 hours a day. We had what it boiled down to like 3-4 main auto companies, and let's see. It was when I was growing up. It was I was on the east side, Far East Side, and about 2 miles or 3 miles from the stamping plant, the Chrysler stamping plant, and all the stuff was the Dodges and Plymouth Chryslers were made on the east side.
Right.
And you could hear at night in the summer when we were out, like hanging out as kids, 12, 13, 14 years, it's late at night, 11:30, you're out hanging out in the grass talking, and you could hear the stamping plants. You could hear the stamping plants in the ground coming 3 miles away. So it was in your life like all the time, and then with the air wasn't great. It wasn't real clean and smoggy and dusty and dirty, and everybody was working class real hard. Everybody had someone in their family that worked for the auto industry.
Right.
So you were really it was really a classic working class town. Everybody worked their butt off, and a lot of musicians worked at the auto plants. They'd work late nights, or they'd work whatever they could, and then do shows or play clubs and bars, and they would have their lounge acts, soul in the 50s and 60s, 1950s and early 60s.
Right.
They were like soul bands, more like soul bands before the Beatles came.
Sure.
It was like soul music, and probably a few Elvis tunes, but mostly like James Brown and Otis Redding and that kind of rock bands. Those were the bands at the time.
And of course, Motown eventually.
Yeah, and then I was about 12 or so, and I hadn't played guitar yet, but Motown was smoking. It was what was the song? Oh God, my mama always said, "You better shop around."
Right,
shop
Smokey
around.
Robinson.
Yeah. That was the song. So that's the stuff we're hearing, and we're kind of like feeling like, wow, this is our little clubhouse. That recording studio is like our part of our family,
And that's what's so unique about Detroit. Okay, the musicians that have come out of there, whether it's Alice Cooper or Iggy Pop, or Wayne Kramer, or you guys. There's that R&B kind of going through your music. Okay, that you all have that in common because you were so influenced by the R&B in your town.
Yeah, from the ground up, man. We felt it right from the street.
Right.
Well, now you guys, I'm sorry, but I just want to interject. Like you guys have, you have Brooklyn, which is like a family thing. There's like a vibe, and then like Queens, there's a vibe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yonkers, all that. And that's the same thing in Detroit. It was a big city, but there was a city vibe. It was really strong.
I've been there twice.
Yeah.
Okay, about 20 odd years ago. I was in Greek Town, and we caught a couple of bands around there, and I dug it.
It's really straight ahead. Everybody would tell you how it is, just like New York. They'll tell you how it is, and they'll stand their ground and put, lay their views down, man. It's and the music is like that. It's just like, I think the pounding, the whole thing with the auto industry just was in our. It somehow we had to have a release, and music was it. Entertainment was it.
It's that industrial beat.
Yeah. I mean, you work all day. You want to go to a jazz club or a rock club or a soul club or whatever. all that they had back in the day.
Yeah, you want to unwind.
Yeah, I mean, your first band was called High Tide.
That was my first when I was 16. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Now was Jim Marinus was in that with you?
Jimmy wasn't in with me yet. He was in later, a couple of years later, when I went to junior high school. When I was just jumping into ninth grade, I met Jimmy.
How'd you meet him? Just in school, or
just well, there was one side. There was always one side of school with all the cool people, and the other side of school was the other side of the building was so if you got out on that one side, it was all like there was the three long hairs that were in the school at the time. It was like a big deal. This guy was a real toughie, but he was like I can't remember his name, but he had the longest hair in the school, and you had to be really cool when you walked on that side of the school, because that was that
was the tough side.
Yeah, you had to get your dander up, so to speak, to keep it clean. And
wow.
So everybody was bouncing around in and out of bands. I mean, one neighborhood would have a band, and my neighborhood had a little band, 2 or 3 of them, and then you'd go about 5-6 blocks over, there'd be another band, and you go on the other side, other section of the neighborhood, 10 blocks away, there's another band, and you would go over, and there'd be friends of yours, and you'd learn a certain kind of songs, a certain set of songs on one side. You go to your friends, oh, you know that song, okay. So they teach you, I can only give you everything, by them.
Right.
Or you go to the other area and you learn Gloria, or see, you're learning stuff in all different areas. Everyone was playing guitar at the time.
That's what was great about the '60s. I mean, there's garage bands everywhere.
Yeah, it was right, exactly, and everybody had a guitar, and everybody was popping in and out of bands, and you're playing in the garage, and kids are watching you, and you're just blasting it out. Really, just everybody. Yeah, it was really cool.
You know what? That was almost like New York City. New York City, we had so many places where people would play live music, and it was great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, John Lee Hooker, he worked on one of the Chrysler, or I think it was Ford. He was on with Ford, but he was working and doing shows as well. Up on Hastings Street and the show bar. I can't think of the name of it right now. Henry's Show Bar, I think it was. But there was a bunch of little bars that all the Motown guys would go to. They'd have to go in there and drag James Jamerson out. Where's James? He's supposed to be in the studio. They have to go to the bar and find.
Go to the bar and find him. Yeah. That's funny.
Marvin Gaye was doing one of his songs, and it was 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. They went in, and he was kind of tipsy. Tipsy. Yeah. They had to go get him. And he actually, if you read it, he laid on the floor and played the bass on, I think, What's Going On, and one of those songs, the solo tracks of Marvin Gaye. He's on the floor. He was so messed up. He was on the floor playing the bass.
Yeah, we did a podcast last year on Marvin Gaye. Ended up very fascinating, really, the whole life.
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what did you think about when the Stooges and the MC5 came along?
Let's see. I kept hearing about it. I was in junior high, and I kept hearing about these bands. The MC5, they were they were still playing covers, and they were playing hamburger stands and wherever they could. And then there was these clubs opened up, teen clubs. They're called the Hideout. There was one on the east side by Grosse Pointe, which is kind of an uppity neighborhood.
Yeah,
Grosse Pointe down the freeway was, and it was right next door to the part of Detroit I was in. But all the bands would play there. The SRC, which is I'm gonna forget his name right now. Scott Richard Case. You got to look up these guys. SRC is one of the best.
Oh, yeah, I know.
2 records.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'd have Bob Seger be playing over there with
Seger system.
Robert,
right.
Yep,
Wow.
Bob Seger, The Last Herd. You had guys from Grand Funk were in a group called The Pack.
The Pack, Terry
Pack.
and the Pack, yeah.
Yeah, Terry Knight and the Pack.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, you had Iggy was playing drums before he played
the Iguanas.
the Iguanas and the Prime Movers.
Right.
And that was out in Ann Arbor. So you're hearing these rumbles, and then these clubs were opening up. So then I was like 15 or something. I don't know. I didn't have a car, no job, money, just a guitar, staying at home playing all the time. And I'm hearing about these places. And then next thing you know, my friend brings home a record, and it's Looking at You by the MC5.
Awesome.
And you put that on, and it's like, oh my God. It's like the Who had come out. I saw the Who on this show in Detroit called Swingin' Time. It was Robin Seymour and Swingin' Time. And it was out of Windsor, Canada, which is right across the river from Detroit.
I've been to the casino there.
Yeah. CKLW was the radio station. It was like 50,000 watts. And they would play all those records, those early records, early Bob Seger, MC5, SRC. SRC did I'm So Glad on their own label.
Yeah.
And but anyway, those records would get played. They go on the TV show Swingin' Time. So I saw the Who. The Who came into town. They were playing in Ann Arbor at the Fifth Dimension.
Was this during the Tommy Tour of America? Or
yeah, it was before that. It was I think it was My Generation. One? My Generation had just come out.
Okay.
And they were on TV. And so when I heard the Five, I thought, man, they're kind of like the Who. They're kind of wild like the Who, but they got that feedback thing like the Yardbirds. All the feedbacks.
A lot of fuzz tone.
Yeah, and then their show, because of the soul thing, it was like a rock and roll soul James Brown show, kind of like real tight, real kind of constructed, moving the same way a lot of times, and just a really kind of show. And it really, really kicked butt, man. It really kicked ass.
Wow.
So that's what I heard about, and I didn't get to see them until later on. But in the 70s, I saw, like in the late 60s and 70s, I saw them. They would have free concerts at Wayne State University. You probably see it online. It's the Tarter Field concert, where they're playing live. It's a black and white film on YouTube.
Yeah, I think I have seen that on YouTube. Yeah.
Well, I'm at that show. I'm at that show.
Wow.
Yeah. But
cool.
Yeah, really cool bands. But there was just so many groups. I saw Ted Nugent at Denby High School. It was a high school that we were like football teams were against each other. There were
Ted with the Amboy Dukes, you mean?
Played at the school and in the auditorium, and it was the first time he put the rope up, and what a crossing is his Tarzan
act that he used to do.
Yeah, and that was kind of it for me, because before that he had Migration and Journey to the Center Line, but when he started getting into his solo kind of Wango Tango thing, we kind of
it was different.
It was different. We went to the song aspect, like with Ted Nugent. What was it called? Oh man, his band. I can't think of the band name. Can't think of it right now.
You're talking about his solo stuff?
Yeah, no, his early band when he moved into Detroit and he started playing around town. It was Amboy Dukes.
Amboy Dukes.
Yeah, Amboy Dukes.
Journey to the Center of the Mind.
Yeah, so we loved Amboy Dukes, but when he went solo, it was just a little bit much with all the hunting gear and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, being in a loincloth and all
that. Yeah, that's what we didn't want to look at,
Yeah, I got you. I know exactly what you said.
Yeah, we were going, oh, okay.
So anyway, let me ask you something. Now, the MC5, it stood for Motor City 5. You had a band a few years later called Motor City Rockers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Romantics didn't happen yet, and
it's kind of morphs into the Romantics.
Yeah, we were our best friend. He played harp. He couldn't sing in key, but he could play great harp.
Okay.
But we let him scream, and we were three of us. We had a guitar player and me on bass and Jimmy on drums, and we were rehearsing in his studio in a basement. We got this house and we painted the basement all red, and we put in all this fiberglass, that fiberglass stuff.
Yep.
We used to rehearse every night. In Detroit, bands, when they got out of high school, I'd say around high school time, they'd get out of high school and everybody would put their money together and get a little storefront. It'd be like $75 or $90 a month, for rent, and you'd rehearse at the storefront. You put all the egg cartons up and all that. But we had this house. My friend got a house, and we fixed it up, and we wrote these songs, and we named ourselves Motor City 5, and we had all our tight skin tight punk pants, and the singer had his platform shoes, red, and we had our whacked out hair, and we the girlfriend of the guitar player called Hilly Crystal over at CBGB's, and she goes, you guys got a gig at CBGB's. I called up, and we couldn't believe it. And
was it an audition gig or was it a straight gig?
It was a straight gig at in the middle of the week, like Wednesday.
Yeah, because Monday nights was the audition night there.
Yeah, night. It was a slow night, but still, it was a big thing for us to go drive all the way to New York. The truck breaks down. We had to move the drums to another truck, and me and Jimmy drove the truck all the way 600 miles to New York, 660 miles.
Yep.
And we get there and walk in, set up. I think we got there the night before, and then we set up the next day and met Sylvain. Sylvain was really cool, and a couple of Dolls and a few other people, and probably Sid Baders. I'm not sure if he was there at the time, but so we played, and it was pretty cool, and we stayed there. We went home, and we broke up.
Wow.
It was kind of tough. The guitar player had his own way, but his weird way. But anyway, so me and Jimmy, we had been all these years out of high school. We've been bouncing around, really in his basement, his mom's basement, and then a storefront and the house. But we were always writing original music. We weren't playing the bars or playing cover tunes. We really wanted to write original music, and so we stuck ourselves in these storefronts, and that's what we did. We'd go there. We'd be there all year, after school or after high school.
Just practicing, right?
Yeah. If we'd go to work, and come home and go to the studio. I think one year, I think I was there even on a Christmas Eve or something, Christmas Day or something, going there building bass guitar cabinets, building my own cabinets. But everybody grew out of that. And anyway, after the thing in New York at CBGB's, we came home. We had tried to get singers all the time. It was always you wanted to get that. You kind of wanted to find that something like that Rod Stewart, or you wanted that Jimmy.
Good frontman.
Yeah, good frontman. It was a big deal. But what happened was when the glitter scene started happening and Lou Reed and hearing about the Ramones and everything, everybody started getting this vibe like I could do that too. Like I could. Shit, I'm going to sing too.
Sure.
So that's what kind of happened. I got back. We took time off. We said, let's just don't do anything for a while. We've been going for years, for 8 years or something, just trying to put something together. And I had met Wally a couple of years earlier, before around the time of the Rockers, Motor City Rockers.
Wally Palmer, right?
Yeah, I met him. We were doing a recording for somebody, and he was singing backup, and I was playing bass. Jimmy was playing guitar for this guy Sirius Trixon out of Detroit, and we recorded a record with him or tapes with him, and that went by the wayside. And 2 years go by, and I called Wally up at that summer. We got home in August, actually it was, and I called him, and I had heard that before I called him. I had heard that he was doing a show. He had like a 50s kind of doo-wop rock and roll thing, and it was like a full-on saxophone, 3 girls singing, kind of a 50s
like a review kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You got
it.
And I went and saw it. I don't know why I didn't go in. I still don't know why I didn't go in to see the show. But I creeped over there. I think it was because of case I didn't like what was going on. I just didn't have to be honest.
Gotcha.
And that I didn't like it. But I creeped up, looked through the window at the school, and jumped up a couple times. And hey, he's handled the crowd pretty good. So I went home. I told Jimmy, and he said, give him a call. And so I gave him a call, and he came over, and he brought over the Rich Cole, who became the bass player. And we all started jamming. That's when Romantic started.
It all kind of gelled, right?
Yeah, that fall. It was 1976, I believe. And we rehearsed for a few months, and as so luck would have it, Rob Tyner from the MC5 was playing with one of my guitar players from an earlier band with Jimmy, Robert Gillespie. And they came over to our rehearsal space, and we were writing these punk pop songs, kind of like, and our short hair. Everybody in Detroit still had their 70s kind of look, but we were getting that new wave look, like that New York kind of rock
sort
and
of
roll
punk
scene
look.
We're reading Rock Scene magazine and all that, and seeing all that stuff.
Yep.
And anyway, so Robert came over, Rob Tyner came over, and they asked us if we wanted to open for them at a show down in Detroit that they were going to do for radio stations, TV, and all the do a showcase. And so we said, yeah, we'd like to do it. And he goes, let me bring Rob over. He brought Rob over. They saw us play, and they said, okay, you got the gig. And I think they were thinking it was going to be this easy pop kind of wimpy kind of pop thing. But we had this energy, this attitude, and we had this, like, we wouldn't stand still on the stage. We were just like kicking ass, and the songs were tight. And so when we got there, we played the show, and with our look, we had found these orange sharkskin suits, and we all wore orange sharkskin suits. Had them taken in; they're real baggy. We had them taken in real tight, and we opened the show for the MC5, and all these people from radio started coming up with us after the show.
Was it the MC5 or Tyner?
It was MC5. It was
reformed.
Yeah, reformed, and they were good, but it was like kind of like felt like 5 or 10 years too
late.
Too old. Yeah, too late.
Yeah.
They were really good, but we had this attitude, this energy, watching all the the London punks, English punks, and the vibe coming out of New York and LA, the LA punk scene. We're watching all that. We instilled that energy back in us from the Five and Iggy, Iggy Pop and all that.
Now, at that time, Mike, did you have tracks like Tell It to Carry, Little White Lies, things like that?
That's right. We tried to get the single out before the first show with the MC5, but it was late coming out. It came out the next week, I think, or 2 weeks
Was that
later.
the Spider Records single?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it. It was it Tell It to Carry and First in Line, I think. Maybe.
Right. Well, Tell It to Carry was a Bomb single, wasn't it? Bomb?
Yeah. The other, and what was the first one? The first was First in Line and I Can't Tell You Anything. Maybe that's what it was.
The B-side, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, it was Little White Lies.
Little White Lies was the first single. Yeah. That was the A side. I don't recall the B.
Oh boy, yeah. And then the B was I Can't Tell You Anything, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think it was. And then Tell It to Carry and First in Line on Bomb.
Right.
And we, everybody at the time was checking. Bomb was the place to be for a new single. So we tried to get that record out, our own Spider record out, Spider Records, out that first week, the show with MC5. But we got asked back from that show to come back 2 weeks later and play with, what's his name? Oh God, I'm gonna forget. The Spanish rock and roll guy. They had the Latin sound. Mick DeVille.
Mick DeVille. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
You played with Willie DeVille. Wow.
Yeah, Willie DeVille, the second show we ever did.
Wow.
They were great, man. I love them. And but we kicked ass again. I mean, next thing you know, our managers talked to the agency in Detroit. Oh God, I can't think of the name of the agency. Anyway, he talked to the big booking agency in Detroit and asked them about some shows coming up. And come to find out, there was a show at Pontiac Silverdome, 75,000 seater.
Wow.
It was Peter Frampton headlining, Steve Miller, and Peter Wolf and Jay Giles. Jay Giles band.
That is huge to be opening for that, man.
And Jay Giles was the band that we were listening to when they came.
Sure.
Because they were kicking ass. They were
at that time. They were, yeah.
Oh yeah, they were just like a New Yorker live band, East Coast band with a lot of balls, man.
They used to play the Beacon all the time in New York when they came.
Oh, that's a great place.
Yeah, it is. It is
beautiful. So anyway, we find out we're playing the show there. So we're getting ready for that show, and of course, we just did 2 shows. The third show is the Pontiac Silverdome, and very exciting, and very intimidating. But we're a tight band now. We're tight. We worked our butt off, and we played a few shows, and we're ready for it. And of course, it's 5, 6, 7,000 people in that big stadium when we're going on, but that's more people than we'd ever played for. So,
Sure.
So it meant a lot, and it went over. We didn't get booed, and we didn't get kicked off or anything thrown at us. So,
So it was a success.
So it was good, yeah. And then
That's a good job.
Yeah. So, in Detroit, I mean, they'll boo you off real quick. But
The crowd could be very tough in Detroit.
Yep,
There's no for that. Yeah.
Detroit, New York, yeah, you got it.
Oh yeah, I booed a few people off the stage.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're used to, we're used to watching like Jay Gall's show and MC5, and that stuff just sinks into your blood. And I don't know how it works, but you watch it, you listen to it, you buy the records, and it just becomes part of you. It's part of your whole thing. And you guys in New York influenced us, and we played New York so many times, Club Haraz, and we went to CBGB's again. We were there when the blackout happened.
Oh, really? 77.
We drove into town. We come in with our equipment. We drive up to CBGB's, and we're waiting for somebody to come show up for let us in or something. We drop the equipment off, and the blackout happened. The whole city went.
What did you end up doing that night, Mike?
I think we just hung out. I think we went to a few shows or something, but I ended up staying. We ended up staying some sleazebag place, but whatever. But we didn't do too bad with hotels. But I think we came back after that. I don't think we played that weekend. We came back and opened for the Shirts or somebody. I think it was the Shirts.
The Shirts were a good band.
Yeah, they were, and because we started playing up and down the coast. We'd go up to Boston, play the Rat. In Philly, we do. What did we do? We did.
Did you play the Stone Pony in Jersey?
Oh yeah, yep. Yes. That was such fun over there.
Yeah, it's a good club.
It's good memories, really good memories in New York and up the coast over there.
Now you mentioned playing Haraz, and I believe that after the show at Haraz, you actually ended up getting signed, right?
Yeah, for about our fifth, sixth, seventh time playing there.
That was had September '79, approximately.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Robert Matthew, photographer, who just passed away. Rest of his soul, man. What a cool cat. He's the guy that photographed all the Iggy stuff and MC5, and he was working with Iggy before he died, where he passed away a couple of years ago. Yeah. But working close with him, getting his stuff together, his photos, and just giving him ideas and working with him. Anyway, he had an in with Columbia, releasing a lot of the past records. But anyway, Robert turned us on to Cheap Trick. He knew Cheap Trick.
Great band.
We had bopped around town, and we hadn't played big shows yet, but we went to see Cheap Trick. He knew the guys. We met the guys, and then we down the road we did a few shows with them, and the first year, the second year of the band, and Cheap Trick, Ted Nugent, we were all over the place. We're doing
this is before you had the album out.
Before the album was out.
Right.
And Robert knew Bunny, and we met Bunny, and Bunny used to collect, the drummer, Bunny Carlos, he used to collect cassettes of pop bands, hard rock pop bands, new wave bands. And so we gave him our cassette, and he gave it to CBS, the A&R people. So they started a conversation with our management, and we almost got signed right away, but they held off. We recorded by Capitol Records. We did demo when we did the Bop record. The money we used from that, we did those singles. Plus we did 4 other songs, and those 4 other songs became demos for Capitol Records. And we almost signed with Capitol, and then that didn't happen. And it's really agonizing at that point. But then you wait a year and you go, God, I'm glad we didn't get signed a year ago. It's like you get better.
Something better comes along.
Yeah, it just gets better. And,
so how exactly did you get connected with Bop? Did Greg Shaw find you, or you searched out him? Or?
Yeah, we had been. I don't think we were in LA yet. I think he may have come to a show in New York.
Right, he was based out of LA.
Yeah, he was either in New York or somewhere like Chicago or New York or something. Chicago or New York. I think management started talking to him. We told our management we want to do a song and put it out on Bop Records.
Yeah, and you mentioned Stiv Bators. That was around the same time that Stiv was doing his power pop kind of stuff and everything. That might have been a little bit after that, but
Stiv was, yeah, you're right. Stiv was so cool. We'd come into Cincinnati or anywhere around there, Dayton or all over any show, and we'd go in the back room to get ready for the show, and Stiv Bators would be back there. He was like a fan. He was a fan. He'd hang out with us, and he was just a real rock and roll.
Now, I'm sure you know Frank Sessage.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we had him on a few months ago. He was great.
Yeah, he's on my I got him on my
Facebook.
Facebook, yeah. It's all good, man. Dude. That's the cool thing about Facebook. You just connect up with all the people you came up with.
Yep.
And but Greg wanted to do a record, so we did a record with him and put it out, and it just fueled the whole mechanics of the band. You know, it's like one thing after another. You start with the 2 shows with the MC5, you go do the Pontiac show, you start putting out the singles. It's just like you just get a vibe going. And next thing you know, we're meeting Patrick Clifford from Emperor Records.
Right.
Nat Weiss worked with Beatles manager. He was the attorney for Northeast Music, NEMS, for the Beatles in U.S. So he was their attorney. So he wanted to start his own record label, so he started his own record label, and that was Emperor Records.
That's Emperor Records. You signed up with them.
That's Nat Weiss. Nat Weiss is well known in New York.
Right.
All over the place. And he used to manage Bonnie Raitt and James Taylor
Yes.
And all that stuff. But he was such a good guy. He gave us the best deal. We had all our publishing. It was just a really good thing. It was unfortunate the way things went down later with another manager we had turned us against Nat Weiss in a way.
Yeah. That's a few years down the line.
Yeah.
But let's get into the first album a little bit, because I have to tell you straight up. I mean, it's 41 years old, 42 years old.
That's right, 41.
I think it holds up just as much as it did the first day. I can remember buying that record, walking into Sam Goody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I was about 12 years old.
Wow,
okay?
cool.
And just getting that record and being like, just looking at it. You guys look so cool with the red suits on. And,
badass.
All the great songs on there. And, I mean, we're going to have to talk about What I Like About You. It's your most famous song. Okay. Yeah. But the Romantics were always, to me, so much more than just that one song. But did you have that song before you were signed? Were you playing it live all those years? When was that song written?
Yeah, that was, I'm thinking it was 77 or 78. I think it was probably 78. So we were doing it when we were playing Hurrahs and all the New York clubs we played, Gildersleeves, all that kind of stuff, all those places, Copperfields, whatever it was called. And we were playing it by that time. But Jimmy was still writing lyrics. I don't think he got, I don't think he settled into lyrics until like we went in the studio, because he was jamming. He had one verse, I think, and he was always looking at the girls and writing songs and singing about the girls in the audience.
Now, was Jimmy always meant to be the lead singer of that song?
Well, yeah, because there's a story. Because when we first got together, I would bring these cassette tapes, these funky green plastic cassette tapes of songs. I would sit at my house and I'd write 4 or 5 or 6 song ideas, maybe titles, maybe some words, a lot of all the music. Usually all the music was there. And so I'd come in, and most of those songs ended up, half of those songs ended up on the first record. Hung on You, Give Me One More Chance. A lot of those songs ended up on Can't Tell You Anything.
Yep.
First and Not. Those songs I would bring in and go, here's what I got, you guys. And anyway, so for What I Like About You was, we had been on the road a few times, East Coast and back, and I was at my dad's house. I was living at my dad's house and had just my acoustic guitar. And Jimmy has a certain beat, a certain feel for that beat, that 4 on the Floor. Yeah. That boom, bop, boom, boom. That's that whole thing. It's not 4 on the Floor, but that's that beat. It was in my head. So anytime he played that, I could come up with something. It's like we were tied because all those years I played bass with him, you know, I was like linked with him, you know, he was the missing link. That's what we used to call him. And I just came up with those 3 chords because I liked the rhythm pattern. I really liked the rhythm pattern. I didn't have any other parts to it yet until I got in the studio, but into the rehearsal hall. So I got a ride. I didn't have a car. My car, I think, was broke down or something. My mom gave me a ride to rehearsal, and it was just turning really cold, getting cold in Detroit. And you know, it was like kind of okay in the day, but in the evening, that cold wind would come in. So I went to the studio, and it was one of the only times up to that point that I actually met Jimmy there in a long time alone. Me and him. I walk in, and we had a studio set up like it was all black, and we had like he had the lights so that they would shine down over his head, on his hair, on his drums, and we had a couple lights up front for the microphones. Yeah. And it was like walking into a club almost, but it was for a vibe. And we'd act like it was a stage, you know, we're on stage. And I brought in these 3 chords, and I go, Jimmy, check this out. I got this idea. And he got his drums, and it was just cool. The vibe was so cool walking. Now that I look back on it, I thought it was kind of crazy, him with the lights and everything. I mean, you know, looking at his hair all the time. But it was creating a vibe. I mean, he had the right idea.
Well, you guys all had perfect hair.
Yeah. I had that Italian hair. Yeah. But so I came in, I played the chords, and Jimmy played the beat, and he automatically came up with the verse. He was coming up with the like about you, da 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 da. You know, he's starting to, you know, just, you know, ad lib, you know, just throw stuff
yelling
around.
Them off, yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't have anything, and so we got that, we got the whole thing, we got the whole thing going, and the other 2 cats show up, and we told them, come on, check us out, what we got, and we started playing it, and we need a middle part, to come up with the middle part, and then I'm going, I don't know if it was that rehearsal, it might have been the next rehearsal, or the next rehearsal we came in, I go, what about, I like, Mitch Ryder used to do Little Latin Loopy Loop. Yeah. And in Little Latin Loopy Loop, when it starts out, it goes down, bum, 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 bum. Hey, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, you know, I never realized that.
Yeah.
Very similar,
and I love that song. I love Mitch Ryder. And then there was Yardbirds with Over, Under, Sideways, Down. You know, the guitar part. Bum, 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 bum. Hey. So
very
that's
simple.
So I thought, what about Hayes? I just started going, hey. And then everybody else starts to go, hey. And then, I don't know, like from a Chuck Berry riff, I go, aha. And that's where that came from. So it's kind of like jamming, throwing stuff around, and me and Jimmy finished it up, and that's where it was. And that's what it is today.
Yeah.
That's how it came out.
I mean, you know, I'm sure you got to do it every show, right? Everybody's got to hear that song.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm all good with that. It's like you know, it's some part of someone else's life now. It's not just my life. The song I came up with with Jimmy at that time, and I got a great feeling of when it came up with it. And now it becomes every part of everyone else's life, and that's really a cool feeling.
Yeah. What was it? What was it like? What was it like playing on American Bandstand doing that song?
Oh, that's like the top. We didn't, like I was going to say, we didn't know it was going to become a hit. We just recorded it and had fun with it and played it really well in the studio.
Didn't you have a double neck guitar?
Yeah, on that, we did that first show, and I wanted to get a double neck. Yeah. I told the management to check in with Rickenbacker to see if they could give me a double neck, and they wouldn't give me one, even though I was promoting them and playing. I got to tell you, no one else was playing Rickenbackers. I think I was, Tom Petty was, and the Nerves out of L.A., Nerves. Yeah. And maybe...
and Lemmy from Motorhead was playing the Rickenbacker bass.
And Sylvain, maybe Sylvain.
Sylvain might have had one, yeah.
And maybe the what was it called? The kids was the Rio kids out in Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Yeah, but we got signed and everything, and man, I was at least expecting, I bought my own Rickenbacker. Figured they'd give me a Rickenbacker. I never got a Rickenbacker. But then they gave one to what's her name, and the Bangles and everybody else, and I'm still waiting for my Rickenbacker. No, I'm not, but I'm kidding. But
Oh, you take one if they give it to you. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, I got some good guitars. Over the years, I sold a lot of them in the early days, and I regretted that. So I don't sell anything anymore with my guitar wise. But yeah, I called up and got a double neck. They show up with a double neck, and it was like bigger than me.
Yeah, I think it's huge. It is huge.
Well, I went with it. I go, I don't know if I want to use this. It's too big. And the other guys go ahead. I think they wanted me to use it because it covered me up.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you play along with the record anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not,
Well, you go in there. So we came into LA and, everybody, it wasn't the first time, but it was one of the first times we went to LA. And, you're out the night before, you go out to dinner. We went to Barney's Beanery. We hung out till 2 a.m. Then we had to get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to go to the show because his wife comes down and, takes you right away. You're zoomed right in there and you're right in that beautiful turmoil, that goes on. Your blood's rushing, your head's spinning. I'm at ABC American Bandstand, and you're just head spinning. Your head spinning.
Yeah.
You try to relax. Yeah, you get a little relaxed, and then it's the call comes, and you go out there, and what's really cool, the crowd just screams and make you feel really comfortable, and he talks to you, and you don't know what to say, and you freeze up a little bit, and you kind of roll with it. And
it had to be a little intimidating to meet him, right? A little bit.
Yeah, it is, really. I mean, what a wonderful cat to bring up the way he supported rock and roll in the beginning.
Of course.
Him and the other guy from Cleveland.
Alan Freed.
Yeah, Alan Freed.
Yeah.
But
how did you get connected with British producer Pete Solly?
Well, let's see. We knew we wanted someone that could enhance our vocals and make sure that we were doing the right notes. We were resolving things right musically. This is not going to mean anything to anybody else, but it's these little things that you don't realize that you do when you record that makes the songs last. It's the way you approach recording, the way you wake up in the morning, you get up, you have your bagel, you have your cream, you have your coffee, you're at the pool, we're at the Miami Beach. It's beautiful out, it's September, it's hot. And you go in the studio, 12:30 in the studio, and you're ready to go. And it's just like a vibe. So anyway, what was I getting at?
No, about Pete Solly, the little things.
So Solly was a guy that could do that. He played with, at the time I didn't know it, he played with later versions of Procol Harum. He played in a touring band with Terry Reid.
Did he ever have any connection with the Kinks? That
he was a really I don't want to say he was a genius guy, but he was a, what do you call it when you like really got it when you play keyboards? He's just like, he really knew his stuff.
Yeah.
He's he could do the classical stuff. He just knew that when he was really young.
The reason I asked that, Mike,
kind of a prodigy.
Like a prodigy, yeah. The reason I asked that, Mike, is I just always heard the Kinks in your music.
Well, that's right, because
especially their early stuff, very early stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of going all over the place here. That's the way it gets when I'm talking about this, because things pop into my head. But that's because one of the first songs I really loved for a guitar player, I wasn't playing guitar yet, but Louie Louie was the thing. The Kingsman, that solo and that whole vibe of that song was like, it was like a punk song of the early days.
It was.
It was really. Yeah, and then it was getting bad. I mean,
nobody understood the words, so they figured it was something bad.
Yeah, and Mike Mitchell, who played guitar, he just passed away.
He just passed away. Yeah. I heard that.
And the sad thing about it, and I'm in Portland right now, and I'm like, let's see, I'm not even a mile. I'm about half a mile down the road from me. He was running he wasn't playing. He played music a little bit. Him and his brother, and he still played guitar. But he had a cigar shop, and every time I drove by, I go, I got to go in there. I got to interview him. I got to get him online. I got to get him on. And one day, and for years, 2 or 3 years, I'm going, I got to go over there. And then one day, I drove by. I go, I'm going down. I wrote down the questions I was going to ask him. I actually wrote down the questions. And I had 10 questions I was going to ask him. I was going to go over there next week. And I go to the studio, and I drive by his place, and there's I never saw the parking was kind of packed, and two girls were up front. And I go home, and I found out he passed away.
Yeah.
It was just so sad. Because if you go back in time, when Louie came out, the way it sounded, the garage rock that it was, I didn't know it, but I read a story that the Kinks were deeply influenced by the Kings then.
They had to be.
Because their manager told them, goes, Ray, you got to write lyrics, you got to sing. They were an instrumental band. They were like a surf band.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, in the 60s. And then he goes, you got to sing. You're a storyteller. He goes, you got to sing. And they're going along right to try to write songs. He goes, you need a song like Louie. It's got to have that garage sound, that raw garage sound. It's got to have that college fraternity thing. And so Dave Davies came up with "You Really Got Me" because of the Kingsmen. And now I'm thinking, well, Kingsmen is really close to Kinks, so I'm thinking like, wow, there maybe is a little connection there too. But yeah, that's how that came about. They were influenced by, and if you listen to the solo of the Louie, it's totally like Dave Davies did.
Oh yeah,
it's totally.
And it was like 2 years ahead.
Yeah, and like my favorite when "You Really Got Me" came out was like the shit. It was that, and till the end of the day was over the top for me. It was like that was my stuff. I was listening to what I was learning from. I was playing Jeff Beck with the Yardbirds, like New York City Blues, all that stuff. The early Yardbirds. That's what I was learning. And then when the Kinks record, Hits record came out, that's the next thing I was listening to. That's what I was learning to write. That's what I was learning to write. And the Animals with CC Rider.
Yes.
And then
the second version of the Animals. Yeah.
If you listen to Romantics and you think of those songs, the Kinks, Kingsmen, Animals, and then you throw in a bit of Beatles and Stones, but really those three bands, Kinks, Animals, and Kingsmen, that's where you hear. That's my guitar playing.
That's the roots of the Romantics, right?
Yeah, that's that. And then when I was a kid, I was hearing Ricky Nelson's guitar player on Ricky Nelson's show. What's the guy? James Burton.
James Burton.
Oh man, I love James.
Do you
Burton.
know how many people cite him as an influence?
Oh, God.
You mentioned Lou Reed before. Lou Reed said that he was his favorite guitar player.
Well, you listen to the solos. If you listen to the solos on that Louie,
and just to bring up Lou Reed for a second, I remember reading in a biography about him that there was James Burton had like a book in those days that to learn how to play guitar.
Really?
And Lou Reed had that when he was a teenager and learned from the book.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm looking for that book.
Oh, yeah, it's out there somewhere.
But just hearing him play behind, well, if you listen to him playing, if you're a guitar player, what he would do is like George Harrison, like I think that's where George Harrison came in too, because he would write the solo that fit the song. He would draw from the verse. He would draw from the melody. He would draw from the chorus, and then he would use his country pride rock and roll,
rockabilly kind of.
Yeah, totally. And then you have to throw in there Steve Cropper, because one of the first songs I learned to play was, I couldn't hardly play it, but was Green Onions was one of the first songs. Yeah,
that stack stuff. Yeah, I'm sure you were influenced by that.
So when you're a guitar player, so that teaches you how to structure a solo. And then the Kinks and all those guys were teaching you how to structure a song. Yeah. And with the Beatles and Stones, forget it. And so, and Lou Reed later for me, man, I just did the song "So Soul Alone," and when I'm doing it, I'm thinking like I'm not doing Lou Reed, of course, but I'm thinking I like that vibe with that voice, so I kind of tried my own way of doing it.
Yeah, so I'm a tremendous Lou Reed fan.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now, when the first album came out, it's funny because when I was doing some research for the show, it said how "What I Like About You" only got to number 49 as a single. Yeah. Now that's almost hard to believe given the popularity of the song, but it's just one of these songs that's outlasted so many others from that time, as far as top 40 kind of stuff. Did you think you were going to have such a big hit with that song when you first recorded it? What did you think?
No, I mean, you never know. You really don't ever know. You just, you go in and you have a good vibe about it. And you might even come out saying, well, I don't know, maybe that vocal wasn't quite as good as maybe the backup could have been better. But, it's just, you just really you have to lay everything down on the tape. You have to get everything out of you onto the tape. And with a good manager, a good producer, Pete Solly, admittedly, he wasn't the greatest producer, but what he did was he in his own way, he saved us in a way, because we wanted the record to be more live, more like a raw, live Romantics. And what he did is he kind of tamed it, which kind of made us mad. We go, man, he took the badass right out of it. But what he did was he caught the energy in a cleaner way.
Yeah.
And so now when you play it and you turn it up, it sounds really good. And it's got the energy to it. You turn it up and the guitars sound great. So he really kind of saved us from ourselves, because we wanted it to be really like raw, like we want MC5, Iggy, turn everything up. But
he didn't hear it that way. He didn't hear it that way. He heard it the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, he heard it like a I don't want to keep naming them, like Beatles, Stones, production, time to do a quality production. And he wasn't really not that knowledgeable as far as all the gear and studio, but he really applied himself really well. And we kept getting at him like, man, this could sound better, that could sound better, that mix as far as mixing goes. But I can't put that record down, because it does hold up.
It really does. I mean, it's and let me ask you this too, like the different genres you guys have been kind of lumped in with. I mean, new wave.
Yeah.
Okay. One that I always hear is power pop.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's legit?
Whatever anyone wants to call it, because everybody has their own vibe for those words. I mean, power pop, I think, came along kind of with the Who, because it's pop. It's popular. Pop is popular music, and that's what it was in the beginning, right? And then
catchy.
It turned into catchy, exactly. Melodic, a melody. You could sing to it. You could dance to it. A million people like it. It sells 1 million records. But it became like with the energy of Keith Moon, the energy of all these bands that were doing hard, kick-ass music in the mid-'60s, but it always had a melody. And that's what I always thought of power pop myself.
In those days, there really wasn't that title for it.
No.
Okay, that came along around the time of you guys, actually.
I think it was called hard rock at the time.
Hard rock. Yeah, hard rock. Okay. I mean, it's just good. It's all rock and roll.
Yes, it is.
I remember one time we spoke with Joey Molland from Badfinger.
Oh yeah.
And he was a great interview. And he said that power pop, we never even had that word back in 72 and 71 and all that.
That's right.
So I know it came later on, and when I think of it, I mean, there were bands like Blue Ash, right? We mentioned Frank Essex before.
Raspberries,
same area, Ohio. And then bands like the Records.
Yep.
And then you guys around the same time. It was that kind of like power pop. That's when it kind of like became a real named genre. Called it that.
Well, and it also kind of became a little bit derogatory, because it could have meant that it was a wimpy sound or something. I would put another word in there, but I'm not gonna.
No, I know exactly what you mean, which is why I asked if you felt that was legit, because some people do think that that's a negative. I don't see it that way, because it's.
But you know what?
It's good.
But when you came to the show, when you came to a Romantic show,
no, it wasn't like
they all laid by the side of the road, because we were kicking ass. We attacked those songs. We started out with jeans and resale shop clothes. Where we got so sweaty the clothes were falling apart. We had to get vinyl and then leather.
and red leather at that.
Yeah. Jimmy. we really, before the Romantics formed, we were really into Roxy Music. We wanted to have something that was really showy like that,
Yeah.
but more rock and roll.
Well, you had a glam influence, you could tell.
Yeah, and but Roxy Music, I think I think Brian Ferry mentioning there's an interview in Cream magazine, and in it there's a section when they put the rock and roll section. I don't know what it was. It was an import section or something, new wave section.
Yeah,
and they did a long interview with Brian Ferry, and about every other paragraph was he was saying, yeah, the Romantics. It was a romantic thing, very romantic, a really romantic sound, a really romantic era. Romantic has a lot of romance to it. And I think Jimmy suggested the name because he saw that we were into Brian Ferry. And I think he picked up on that. And that's how he must have wrote it down in his book. Because we were using like the backbeats or some silly name like that. We were going with that.
You hadn't settled in on the romantics.
Yeah. And then he goes, what about romantics? I go, I don't. And it's kind of pushing it. With that name, a name like that, you're kind of pushing it, romantic. So I don't know. That's kind of sweet, romancy.
Yeah, it might be a little too nice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. So, but we could back it up with our live show. So that's what we made it our own. So we really defined it ourselves.
So the first album takes the world by storm. You guys are big hits pretty much right off the bat. And then you have to make a second album, which is always, for new bands, it's always an issue, right?
Yeah.
So that was National Breakout. Tell us a little about that.
Well, oh gosh. Well, first of all, 4 songs on the first album went on the charts. I think it was 3 or 4. It was First in Line, Tell It to Carry.
When I Look in Your Eyes.
And When I Look in Your Eyes, and then What I Like About You.
Right.
And What I Like About You got up to the middle of the charts, and then it fell off. It started falling off. And our management's talking to the record labels, and the record labels are talking to them. And they're concocting this idea. You guys got to get in the studio right now and do a new record. And we just finished, this was a year, not even a year after.
And you're touring and everything on top.
We toured, we didn't even go to England. We didn't go to Europe. We didn't go to France. We were nowhere. And it was I think it was a really bad move. And that's one thing I regret. And that we didn't get out to Europe, and we still haven't done that. We still haven't done that. And that's one thing that's on my bucket list. And
you have never played Europe?
We've never done a live tour other than playing Holland. We didn't do France. We did Japan and Australia, and that's it.
Wow.
Not a full-fledged European tour.
It was crazy. It was really wrong.
That is hard to believe. Wow.
Yeah, because the band is like set up for England. The look, the attitude, the energy. It was just
more than any other country in Europe.
Yeah. And anyway, so What I Like About You doesn't hit the top 10, but it starts getting noticed. How'd it happen?
Radio was playing the song.
Radio's playing the song, but it's going off the charts because you have all classic rock.
Right.
And you're fighting Ted Nugent, you're fighting Led Zeppelin in Kansas.
Yes.
The Clash couldn't get played. Elvis Costello couldn't get played.
Not yet.
The Ramones couldn't get played.
Nope.
None of us were getting played. None of that stuff. All that stuff everyone loves now. But none of us, we did tours with Ramones.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that. What was it like touring with them?
Oh, God, it was so cool. We loved them, playing.
And my all-time favorite band.
And we're fighting to get on the radio, them and us. We're all fighting to get on the radio. So we're doing shows together, and I'm talking to Joey on stage in between. They'd break down into some other thing, and he'd come off the stage, or I'd come off stage, and someone else is doing like a little drum fill. And I'm talking like, man, you guys, I love your band. I love the Ramones. I love the Ramones. He goes, I love pop music, man. He goes, he's just so cool. And he goes, I love pop. You guys are great, the pop music. And I'm going, yeah. I go, man, cool. I just couldn't believe it. He was, and I realized, around that time, I was realizing, he was into the girl groups that he was in.
Joey was into all that pop.
Yeah. And they were just, they'd come in and I'll roll in, and they'd have these big road cases, big as like 6-7 feet long road cases. And when they get into town, the crew, they'd go into town and they go to the resale shops, and they buy up all the leather jackets. They go to the they come back and they'd have 5 leather jackets. They throw them into the. It was so cool. It was actually cool.
Well, leather jackets, the MCs in those days were hard to find.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to. There was only maybe one place in town that would sell them, or whatever. It was hard to find them.
Yeah, they were
sometimes you had to mail order them.
Yeah, the shots.
Shots, yeah. They were expensive.
They were made in Detroit, and you could only buy them in New York.
Yeah,
we go to New York, we buy them in New York. It's crazy. So anyway, Ramones, too cool. They come in. We're playing down south, and you had to drive through this Davy Crockett territory. It's all forests and hills and going up a hill, and it's real hot out, mosquitoes and bugs. And I think we had a bus that time. We might have been in the van still. But they had their band that come up, and they just get there in time to go on stage. And, Joey says something, Gigi says something like, after fighting a herd of wild mosquitoes, I want to be sedated,
Yeah.
Bam, right into it. It's so cool.
Sounds just like
cool. I mean,
was that like when you had the first album? When did you tour with them?
That was the first album. Yeah,
first album.
And so it was a tough time because the police had just come out. We toured with doing the little clubs with the police.
Mm-hmm.
No one was getting airplay yet. It was just really hard to get on the radio.
Yeah.
It was anyway. So we
were talking about the second album, which you felt was a little rushed, right?
What's important is that What I Like About You got picked up in Holland and France, and it went up the charts and went to #1 in Australia, France, and Canada. And we went over to Australia. We did that, and then we got back and we did a video for the management goes, "Do you want to do a Bud Light commercial?" And of course they didn't go, "You'll make $60,000." They didn't say that, or whatever it was, but it was probably more than that. But I never saw that. But anyway, we did it at the Cubby Bear we did a video for the commercial at the Cubby Bear across the street from Wrigley Field, and that came out for the commercial. But then we're in LA. Let's see how this happened. I'm getting ahead of myself. After it came out in Holland, it was run up the charts. They called us from Holland and wanted us to do a video. So we're in LA, and we're playing the Whiskey A Go Go. We're doing sound check, and these guys came in. They brought one camera, and the cheapest video we ever did was What I Like About You. We're on stage. We wanted it to look like, we told them, give us a little bit of that Hard Day's Night thing where you're close to the hands, close to the face, close to the drummer. And then they did the close-ups, and they did 3 feet away and then out in the room.
Right. And
so we did that, and that video took off.
Oh, yeah. MTV played the hell out of it.
Yeah, and then MTV, that's the next thing.
Yeah. And that's 20 minutes.
What's that?
Every 20 minutes you would hear.
Oh, I know. I just realized, I don't think about it too much. I'm getting off track here. I don't think about it too much about, I really don't, about how many people have seen us, how many people have bought records, how much awareness people had of us, until I started thinking. The other day I saw this thing about how they started making MTV, and they're talking to Jagger, and they wanted him to do I want my MTV, and he goes, how much are you going to pay me? And then
you guys did that, right?
I think we did it later on.
That. I remember that. It was you guys saying I want my MTV.
Yeah. When Talking to Steve came out.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, what was I saying? I wasn't aware. Yeah, I wasn't aware of how many people until I saw that thing about MTV, and I'm going. I mean, this is this month. I'm going. Wow, MTV. We were seeing a lot. There was a lot of awareness. It just really kind of hit me. I go, wow, there was a lot of faces and ears heard us. It kind of dawned on me.
I'm sure it's hard to comprehend it, but it's true. A lot of people have listened to you guys.
And I intentionally try to stay away from that. I don't want to think that. I don't want to think about that. I want to think about and be grounded and close to the music and coming up with stuff. And that's why right now I can still come up with I still come up with good songs, and the stuff I've been coming out has been really received really well. It's it's Romantics, but it's not Romantics. It's Mike Skill, and it's kicks ass. It's Detroit. It's Detroit, New York, LA, whatever. Because everything, everywhere I've been now, all the experiences I've had, it's all in that music now. And anyway, so we get in the studio for the second record, and we've been on the road. We've done the first record, the Romantics, and we're going. Oh man, I didn't have any songs. We had no songs. I had to, in 6 months, I had to come up with, well, 6 weeks probably, but more like 6 months. We had to have a full record. By the end of the year, how did it work out? Let's see. I don't know if it was the next year or if it was that next following year the record came out, or if the following year we started recording.
It came out in December of '80.
So we went right in the studio the same year the first album came out.
I think a few months later.
Yeah, we had to.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's very quick.
That's crazy. Then I had to write that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's the trauma, and that's the disillusionment with management, and the management genius of throwing out the guitar player who writes a lot of the songs. And that's what they did.
That's what happened. You left the band for a while, and they brought in a guy named Kaz Candler, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But it wasn't for long, because by the time the third album, Strictly Personal, okay, you were ready to come back, right? They recorded that without you, right? And then you came back.
Yeah, we recorded National Breakout, and we came. The thing is, you might know. I mean, just the time it takes to get the ideas and get them down, and then the cassettes, and then the work with the group, and then figure out the harmony parts, and the guitar parts, and that's what I was doing. I was coming up with all the stuff, and then we're going on the road, going to Australia, and the record's coming out.
Yeah, and
that's when it all hit, and we're just like, the rebel that I am, and the wow, is what I'm doing really good? Are the songs really sounding good? Everyone is telling you it's great, it's wonderful, wow, it's incredible. And you don't know what to think. You kind of lose your compass. You just lose your bearing.
Sure.
And and I always was pushing, man, this has got to be raw. This has got to be more higher energy attack. Yeah, I don't want to wear I'm just going through the things I'm saying and thinking. Man, I can't wear the same suits every the same suits on the second album, and I fought to not have a cover that looked like the same as the second cover on the first cover, and and I was rubbing people, but what a manager's supposed to do is keep people in line, or bottle that energy up into the right way. Right. And it didn't happen, and I'm gone. And I left for that one album. They put out that record. The record stiffed. National Breakout didn't do much, but it's a really good record.
It is.
And the songs are fast because we were playing with the Ramones.
Yeah, that was the year, definitely. Yeah. 1980, they had End of the Century out, and you guys had National Breakout.
We were just like, going for it. And anyway, so I'm gone, and I'm home. I'm staying home. I'm working on music. I'm kind of disoriented. I'm just kind of hanging out. And then all this new stuff's coming out of England, like Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet. See, because the punk thing was the opposite. The punk thing was get in the studio, throw it all against the wall, and whatever sticks.
Keep it raw.
Keep it raw. Spit on it, puke on it, pour the beer on it.
Yeah.
And by the time I was out of the band and coming back, this whole scene changed a bit. It got more production oriented, quality production, Spandau Ballet, Squeeze, all these bands I love, XTC, and then you had the Duran Durans and the real more disco pop. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know.
They called it New Romantic, or
it was kind of like the Roxy Music meets I don't know what, punk.
Yeah, kind of a little dance music thrown in.
Yeah, dance music, and so that's how In Heat came about. It was a little more. It was more produced. It's still rock and roll, and I had this bass line that I did for Talking to Sleep. It wasn't called that at the time. It was, I forget what it was called. We had some other name for it. Me and Jimmy I came up with the bass line, showed it to Jimmy, and we jammed constantly on it. Do-da-dum, da-da-dum. We're going off just jamming on it for half hour, and then we'd set it aside, and it'd be over. We'd put it in our back pocket, whatever. And then we needed we did pre-production for In Heat, and Pete comes in, and Pete Sully comes in, and we got him again, and he comes in and we show him what we got, and I think we even played that jam, that In Heat jam. We got in the studio, we had all the songs, we did pre-production, we recorded all the songs, and then we come out of the room, the big room, and get into the control room, and he says, we need one more song. Okay. We had done Rock You Up.
Was that one in the million?
That was in Talking in Your Sleep.
Oh, that was Talking in Your Sleep. Okay.
So we come in, and he goes, Skill, what was that bass thing you had? I go, I don't know. Okay, let me show it to you. I show it to him, and okay, and Jimmy played the groove. He goes, that's a good groove. And we're going, well, okay, cool, man. Maybe we can make something out of it. So he goes, get the keyboard. We took the keyboard, the portable Wurlitzer, put it in the control room. Me, Jimmy, Pete, the guys around the piano, Wally and Cause are kind of in the back of the control rooms hanging. And we're going, okay, he goes, when do we go here? What if we go here? And we're kind of like pulling it together. Okay, go down to here, play this chord, and turn around. And so we actually get the verse, the whole verse. And then we need a chorus. we need music for the chorus. Then Pete's going, how about if he's got the keyboard and we got guitars, and we actually come up with the turnaround and all that. Then we're going, so what's the title? And there's another song I think I heard. Jimmy must have heard the title. I hear something, The Secrets That You Keep, and I can't remember what it is, but he goes, what about talking to your sleep? And so then we start messing with the melody, and it's da, 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 da. And then we just had Talking in Your Sleep.
Yeah, you
Talking in Your Sleep. Talking in Your Sleep. Then someone goes, how about I hear the secrets that you keep. I hear the secrets that you keep.
When you're talking in your sleep.
Yeah, so
very catchy, very catchy.
And we all went, oh yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, no, that's good. So then we went back to the studio, and then we jammed with it a few times and laid it down, and got a backtrack. You get a backtrack, which is drum, bass, guitars, a few guitars, and maybe a scratch vocal on tape. Mm-hmm. And then we came back the next day. I think Jimmy went home. I think he was writing lyrics as we're in the control room. He had a book of lyrics, and he wrote the lyrics. Actually, he was going to sing it. Excuse me.
Oh, Jimmy was going to sing that one?
He wanted to sing it. He wanted to sing it. He goes, I want to sing it. And because he did What I Like About You, and I don't know if there was what else was going on, if there was a schmoozing or whatever, but Wally ended up got to sing it. But Jimmy was going to sing it. Wally ended up singing it. They loved it at the label. It was different than What I Like About You. It showed a range of the Romantics, which was really cool.
That's very true.
Yeah, you had a rock thing, and then you had this kind of like a Stones would do, a dance. I almost swore there. Effing dance groove. Dance.
You could swear on this show. Doesn't matter. Let it rip.
Thanks, you
but
guys.
A lot of people don't realize, because if you ask the average music fan, what's the biggest romantic song, they're going to say What I Like About You. But Talking in Your Sleep charted at number 3.
Yeah,
it's the biggest selling single.
Actually, number 2. Number 2.
Number 2. Excuse me.
It ran into Owner of a Lonely Heart, I think.
Oh God, it's a way better song than Owner of a Lonely Heart. I hate that song.
I know. That's
what's so true too is Talking in Your Sleep is really, it's a quintessential 80s kind of song.
Well, what's weird about it is, yes, their first 2 albums are like pop music. Mm-hmm. And then they became this progressive band, long songs, 3 minutes long, double albums, 4 albums in one record. And then here we are back again doing pop, and they're progressive, and we're right up against them. And I think it was the least it was at least pop song, you know, in a way. Good song, but
and you guys might
wasn't my cup of tea.
You guys might be to blame for like the ozone having a big hole in it because you had so much hairspray in your hair in those videos, man. Talking in your sleep, one in a million. I was watching that last night. I hadn't seen that video in 20-something years, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, Mike's hair is like it's like 5 feet off his head.
Well, you know, I'm the only one. Honestly, God, I'm the only one that didn't have to use hairspray. It just stayed up.
It just stayed up like that.
But Jimmy, and those guys really did spray it on. Jimmy especially, Cause especially, yeah. But yeah, I got in the studio. I was playing bass. I played some guitar. I was still writing songs. Those guys, the label told them, you got to get skill back, or we're going to bring in a songwriter. So that's how I got back in the band.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to do something. Unfortunately, I should have finagled some more money out of them, but I didn't.
You were probably just happy to be back too.
I was happy to get to work again, and I had started a band with 3 or 4 guys in Detroit that were from really good bands, and but this got in the way of it. So anyway,
I got to backtrack for 1 second talking about Detroit bands. Did you ever in your time get to see the Sonic Rendezvous band?
Yeah, we played with them. We played with them. Yeah, we opened for them, and we opened for them, and I don't know if they opened for us, but we played the Nectarine Ballroom, which was used to be called Chances Are in Ann Arbor. God, yeah, we played Fred Smith. Oh my God, my hero.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a band that, you know, it's just so sad they never really went anywhere, you know, and they didn't record a whole lot. But City Slang is one of the greatest rock songs ever, I think. Yeah. You know, I have the original single of it. It's
that's worth a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's what it was like. We played all the clubs, little clubs around Detroit with them, and Fred, man, it was like, what it was is Wayne Kramer from the MC5, the other guy. After all the people I told you about in the later '60s, it was Wayne Kramer and Fred Smith were my guys for guitar.
Sure.
Because they would write when Wayne wrote a part down below on the neck, on the lower register of the neck, Fred would put something that matched it or opposed it on the guitar up above. So they were working in tandem, and it was like this onslaught. And I still do that today. When I write, I'll compose the same way. The rhythm would be down below, and then I'll build it up with a wall of guitar on the upper register.
Yeah.
And Shakin' Street. You got to remember Shakin' Street. It's a great song.
Shakin' Street, yep.
From the MC5.
And Skunk.
On
High Time.
Yeah. So I had Wayne on 67 Riot. I put out the first song I put out.
I got to ask you about that because that's something that you've done fairly recently, right?
Yeah, a year ago, Wayne played on it. And 2 years ago, I put it out 2 years ago as myself. And then those guys told me, I'd like to get Wayne on it, but I just mentioned it in the studio with Chuck Elkazian, who recorded all my original stuff, this new stuff I put out. Chuck is really great producer, God. He takes my stuff to this other level. I don't know how he does it, but incredible. He worked with Chris Cornell and Madonna remixes and all that, and Tool and all these bands. But what was I getting at?
67 Riot.
67 Riot. I go in the studio. I go, man, I'd really like to get Wayne Kramer on this. It'd be really cool. And Chuck goes, call him. I go, I can't call him. I was afraid to call him. And so a few weeks went by, and I called him. And he goes, Mike, send me this track, man. I want to hear it. And I sent it. And he called me back, and he says, I love it. It's, it's right up my alley. It's about the 67 riots that I grew up. I was probably 12 years old when the Jeeps were in my neighborhood with the
They brought in the National Guard.
Yeah, National Guard, and helicopters going over, and smoke pouring out downtown, and the news just pouring it on. If it bleeds, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
dangerous times, man.
Yeah, really. Yeah, and So
Wayne was right in the middle of that.
Yeah, and I was a young teenager, and we were all afraid. They had us all afraid that riots were going to come down to our neighborhood, the white neighborhood.
They kind of stayed in Detroit proper.
Yeah.
It didn't get out too far, but it was very destructive.
So I worked on these lyrics for quite a while. I had the guitar lick, and built that up and finished it in the studio, and then finished the lyrics up, and it turned out really good. And I'm glad I got Wayne on it. It's just so cool. And I put out a 45. There's a vinyl 45 that's available, probably through my MikeSkill.com. But if you're interested, but Wayne's good. Wayne's good on it. Oh my God. And he's going to be on the album. The album's coming out. So far, the album's coming out July 16th, coming up, my birthday. I'm going to put out digital album, and then a few months later, we got the vinyl. The vinyl will come out.
I'll be looking for that.
Yeah. And there's going to be a 41st anniversary. It's going to be the 41st anniversary, so because the 40th anniversary sucked last year.
Yeah, you got to kind of skip that part.
Just kidding, but no, just not being serious. But no, it's 40. I'm gonna do. Everyone does 40th anniversary. I'm doing 41st. So anyway,
is there any chance of Jim playing or
Reels?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him. I called him quite a while back, and I haven't heard from him. But we're still a little bit in contact. It's been a while. It's been at least a year since I really talked to him now.
Wow.
But who knows down the road. I'd like to do this stuff I got now. I got a lot of my original stuff coming out. I just released.
I heard some of the new songs that sound really good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's all real shit. Real
stuff,
and
you got
man.
just so everybody knows, it's on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can look for Mike Skill on there, and also like 67 Riot. We found that on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can check it out there too.
Yeah, MikeSkill.com and all the streaming, all the
MikeSkill.com also, yes.
All of them.
When I do the show, I put all the links so people can find you. I also want
to
you recently did Ultra Lord show.
What's that?
Ultra Lord show? The tribute?
You cut out.
Oh, you did the Walter Lloyd.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For some, my mic went out, or the headphones went out. Yes, Walter Lure, man. When I was on the road, we'd come into New York. The record National Breakdown was recorded at A&R Studios in New York.
Wow.
Right next to where the Sheridan used to be, or the Sheridan is, and the studio used to be right there. It's the old. Man, they recorded a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of old stuff was recorded there. They tore it down, but it was the Billy Joel studio where he recorded all his stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Which I can't think who else owned it.
It's off the top of my head too. I can't think of it.
Yeah. Anyway, we recorded that there. What else was I getting to?
I was talking about Walter.
Yeah, Walter Lure. I'd come into town. We'd come into town, and we get in early, or we go out and go down to the clubs and that. And we I'd see Walter Lure playing with Johnny or whatever, and it was always, "Hey man, how you doing? You guys sound great." We never really hung out, but it was always like a mutual admiration society.
He was a very nice guy.
Totally. Guy. And a great Les Paul player, man. Les Paul, he's great on Les Paul.
Oh yeah,
it's hard.
He always played.
It's hard to play a good rhythm on Les Paul. It really is it's an art because it's got when you turn it up, it's so the attack on it, you got to know how to do it.
Yeah, he made a career out of that.
Yeah,
he really did.
Yeah, and same with Johnny. I'd run into Johnny with Wayne in Detroit.
When gang war.
Yeah, because he's always going, "Hey, Skill." So in his voice, I can hear it in my head.
Yeah,
and so. Yeah, that's how that came about. So I heard they were doing it. I called them up and I said, "Look, if you're interested, I love Walter is playing and Heartbreakers and Johnny and everybody. And if you need somebody to do something, if you want me to do something, I'll lay it down for you, and you can take it and do it." And I waited a while and didn't hear anything, and then I kind of waited almost too late. And he goes, "Man, give us something, give us 2 or 3 songs." So I just went in and did.
You were dealing with Barry?
Yeah, I was going through. I went through Barry.
Barry's great. Yeah,
April, yeah, really cool. In fact, I owe him a call. Barry and what's his name?
Steve.
Oh shit. Yeah,
Steve
Krebs. Krebs.
Yeah.
And so I owe him a call actually. Because it's now we're going to do the Johnny Thunders thing, I think.
Well, are you doing the Johnny Thunders birthday thing next month?
I think he wants me to do. He wanted me to come
I'm I'm going to be talking to Steve Krebs possibly also before that. So I might even go to that if I can get down there.
I got to make sure. I really got to make sure I'm not doing a song that everybody else is doing. I think I'm going to do. I don't know if I want to say what I'm going to do. I might do Courageous Cat and Pipeline, and then a couple of originals, something like that.
So we'll do like a instrumental kind of thing of Johnny, and then something original of yours.
Yeah, no, original his.
Original his.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not doing. I won't do my stuff. I'll do his stuff.
Yeah.
So
you should do. Let me think. Do like In Cold Blood.
Oh yeah,
that might be an interesting one for you to do.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Talking about doing dope on Avenue A, you know.
I was going to do Born to Lose, but I got a feeling everybody's going to do it.
So you know somebody's going to do that.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
So
let's move up a little bit towards what you got going on now, okay? Some of the stuff you sent me, there's tracks Not My Business.
Yeah.
My Bad Pretty, Soul Alone.
Yeah.
Dark Side of Your Love, We Got Your Rock and Roll, and then 67 Riot with Kramer. You have an album coming out, you said in July.
Yep.
You got a title for it yet?
I've got a couple. I'm either going to I'll either embellish my name or
self-titled.
or something like that, or I got a couple things in mind. So it might be nice to just use the name, but I'm not sure. I'd like to get creative on it, but we'll see.
Yeah. What's the best way for people to reach you? Your website?
Yeah, MikeSkill.com is probably the best way, and all the music's on Spotify and Bandcamp. You know the usual sites.
And you got a pretty good Facebook page too, Mike Skill on Facebook.
Not too bad.
Yeah,
we're working
I
on it
see
all
you
the
on
time.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and. So I wish I could get into New York. I just told him I'm not going to get in this time, but I'll catch you next time.
Well, keep in mind, Mr. Rossi here, Rob Rossi, he's a bartender at the International Bar on First Avenue. So we will set you up.
Yeah.
Okay, you let us know when you're coming.
Absolutely. And for Not My Business, I've got Ricky Ratz on guitar. He played guitar for the Dead Boys.
Yes, Ricky Ratz is great.
Yeah. So he's in my band when I'm playing Detroit. When I'm out with the thing I'm doing, he'll probably I think he'll be playing guitar mostly. So Ricky Rat and Brad Elvis on drums, and
Elvis, right?
On bass there's one of two people. So so we'll be getting around soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, listen, thank you for coming on. It's been fantastic. And keep in touch. All right. Yeah. You'll see me on Facebook. We'll stay in touch. Okay.
And yeah, Rob Rossi, thanks, you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you for a great interview. So many great stories. You lived a hell of a life, man.
Man, I was feeling like I was talking too much. I'm sorry if I did.
No, it was fantastic. I just let you go, man.
Yeah. You guys are a great interview, man. It's really cool.
Thanks. So it's all about the music, Mike. All right. We wish you the best of luck. And,
thanks,
you be safe and stay in touch, okay?
Well, thanks to you, my New York brothers, please.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
All health to you, and good luck.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Later.
Podcast you will hear that will be music to your ears. You'll learn about bands you love or may not know, and it's only here on The Rock Show. Ooh, yeah, on The Rock Show. Ooh, yeah, on The Rock Show. Don't tell your friends and everyone you know. Let's get lumped up on The Rock Show.